everybody. Welcome to episode 69, part 2 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Stefan JD.
Still Stuart Hughes.
And still Riley.
All right. One person new, but hey, the rest of us are all here. And if you are confused, this is the first time that we have did this because I didn't want a 4-hour episode of just Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which we were on the road to happening. So we're breaking this in two so I can edit easier and not hate life. So we are going to be talking about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You saw in the title. This is going to be part 2. So hopefully listen to part 1, and we are going to start talking about Kashyyyk.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
It depends.
It depends on who you talk to.
They're Wookiees, who cares?
There's different pronunciations. Some people say Kashyyyk, some people say Kashyyyk, some people say Kashyyyk, and those people are wrong.
They are very wrong.
Should we talk about all Kashyyyk and Wookiee like in the holiday special? Woo! Let's do that.
I can't. I go back and forth on being able to do a Wookiee impression.
I can't do it well. I like Kashyyyk. I also like how it's, even though it's so many years in the past of Star Wars, you still have, slavers. They still are, immediately you have the Zerka Empire, whatever the hell, Zerka Empire again. Corporation. Yeah, that's more accurate. But, and I like all that. Like, I actually enjoyed this plan. I enjoyed how you start off up in the trees, and it doesn't, like, it is very quickly before you are wandering around in an area where people can kill you. Like, it does not take long at all.
Quick question, Mike, since you weren't paying attention, you did remember to at least take Zalbar with you for this, right?
You have to. It's
no,
mandatory.
You don't have to. Yeah.
I didn't bring him with me, and then I went back and brought him and had him
his
for that
story.
Did you finish this game in like 2 hours? Because
no, I finished it in 20 hours.
Oh my god.
21 or so.
You didn't take Zalbar with you. God damn it.
Zalbar.
It's his planet.
I know. I didn't like him though.
His brother is leading the Wookiees.
Yeah,
his brother's evil.
Mike is like the personification of that like ProZD Vine. It's like something like, guys, I'm Lysander Roth's brother. He's talking about me in this cutscene. Like, I'm supposed to be here right now. He's just like, shut up.
I brought him along, but I didn't. And then he goes away because once you get to meet his brother, it doesn't take long before they kind of kidnap him and he's done with the rest of it. Which I was fine with because I tried using him a few times, but I just didn't like him.
Oh, Zalbar's great. He's a big tough guy with a big bowcaster.
His range attacks aren't very good though.
No, but he's very tough, and he's just
couldn't
like
equip armor.
Well, no, but he's a Wookiee.
Yeah, but you can't equip armor. I lost interest in him.
Well, yeah, but if you get armor, then you don't have to give it to him. So
I use Canderous Ordo at this point. Well, for now, my team at this point was Bastila, my dual wielding Jedi, and Canderous Ordo.
Dual wielding is just the coolest, right? Like that's hands down the coolest thing to do. If you can, especially if you level up the dual wielding and you can have 2 full-size lightsabers.
I think I leveled up with enough skills. I don't know. I'm not sure what the game did for me.
It's
I never looked. I couldn't figure out how to look either, so I never checked.
You just opened the skills tab.
I could not. I was like, fuck it, I don't care enough. But
Mike barely played this game.
I saw the story.
Yeah, I think I do Kashyyyk. I either do it first or second every time because I got to get Jolie and I got to do Zalbar's story because I think Zalbar's story is one of my favorites.
It's interesting.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's real great about his, like you go to Kashyyyk and the Starforge is on the forest floor. And when you get there, like Circus like, kind of taking over, and the Wookiees are fighting. Like the Wookiees are working with them at first, and you're like, "Why are the Wookiees like?"
You don't realize what Chundar is doing.
Yeah, like why are they still like? Why are their own people being enslaved, and they're not worried about it? Yeah, and Chundar is there. He's just like immediately angry that Zalbar is with you.
Well, what do they call him? Wild Claw or Mad Claw?
Mad Claw.
Yeah.
That's a cool name for a Wookiee.
Well, it's also like a super insulting name in their language because it basically means like you've gone insane. Like
you're insane. You've gone feral. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because it's just like you find out like his dad died, and Zalbar like might have some hand in it, and Chundar's taken over. He's just running everything terribly, and I always like bringing Zalbar and Mission with me because I like Mission's response to everything going on. Where she's like, I had no idea there's this other side to you, Zalbar.
Oh, you brought her on?
Yeah, I always bring her with. If I take Zalbar, I like bringing Mission.
I didn't like her. I used her in the sewers for a very small amount of the game, but after that, she was done. She was gone.
I'm about the same.
If you're playing as a a soldier or like a Jedi Guardian, she is like essential because she has the best. I think aside from Juhani, she has like the best skills without being a Jedi. You can make her a Jedi eventually. We haven't mentioned that yet, but you can, when you like get loyalty with some of your companions, you can turn them into Jedi.
You can?
I think
I didn't know that.
I think only mission in this game.
Okay, that's where you talk to them, right? And you do that little side quest where you keep talking to them?
Basically, yeah.
But you
I
never
didn't do
talked
that
to her
either.
brother, so I don't think it would have gone that far for you.
I didn't even talk to the characters that much. I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah, mission is in
I
this
like
game.
this
Mission's the only one you can make a Jedi.
That's
The second,
cool.
the
I
second
actually
game you
didn't
can do
know.
a lot more.
Yeah, second game you can turn like all of your companions into Jedi and basically have like an unstoppable crew. Because the second
Well-
game also does something awesome where you have to go to a planet and you have to send some of your companions out separately, and you play as both of them like simultaneously.
I had a question. So, does anyone ever pay the docking fees when they get to these planets?
I think it
You
makes
paid
you.
them not to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I never do.
I
Okay.
did. I paid almost all
I
of
always
it.
This is why you had no credits.
Yeah,
I only had 100 credits. I had no credits. I bought HK47. That didn't help me. And then I had credits after that. After I bought him and I won the super races, I had a lot of credits.
We didn't
I was set.
we talked about Tatooine, but we didn't really talk about. We really didn't talk about any of like the stories on it with Basila's mother, Griff, or anything. But we should mention HK47
We
and
did
talk
mention
about him a little bit. Well, we should need to talk about him a little bit because he's
Sure.
such a iconic character. I mean, just first of all, his name HK47 is a reference to two separate guns,
Yep.
Mhm.
and also kind of Terminator because HK stands for Hunter Killer.
Yep.
And he is his job is just to kill. He is an assassin droid disguised as a protocol droid, and he calls all humans meatbags. And he's like he has like complexity too because he's not just a killer. He like takes great joy in the art of being an assassin.
Yeah, every time I posted an Overblood, I always start with like, query, how are you guys doing?
Statements: all humans deserve to die. Query: how to best achieve this?
He's. I mean, you also. I don't know. You find out at this point, but you find out later, if I remember correctly, he belonged to Revan too.
Yeah.
Yes.
His
which
quest is one of the harder ones to complete, too.
Yeah, he got kind of the short straw because in the second game, his entire storyline was cut.
He's in the second game.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
He's a big factor in the second game, or he was supposed to be a big factor in the second
Yeah.
game. If you play with the restored content, it basically adds in his entire story again, and he becomes one of the best characters. But yeah, his whole thing is like I like him because he's got like he's like above other droids. He has this very clear sentience to him that cannot be denied. And
Which is funny because they say on Tatooine where like they've tried to memory wipe him and it doesn't work, or they do and it doesn't matter.
yeah, they like memory wipe him constantly, and he's just like, they're like, it's so weird. He just wants to kill. All he wants to do is we've wiped his memory like 17 times, and he's still just talking about how great killing is. Yeah, it's brought up that like the way he was built was very unique. He was built by Revan for a very specific purpose. Yeah, but when you find out later that it wasn't just killing, it was like surgical assassinations where, like we said, Revan didn't want to conquer the Republic. He wanted to take over the Republic. And so he would send in HK-47 to like take out like a senator or like a leader
Mm-hmm.
and, not bloodlessly, but more peacefully take over like a planet.
Diplomatically.
Well, it was still killing was involved.
Oh.
But
Okay, yeah,
it was,
diplomatically.
it was surgical. Like Revan wouldn't just take over. He wouldn't conquer a planet like Malik. Malik would glass a planet and say, "This belongs to the Sith now." Revan would say, "We're gonna take out their supply lines. We're gonna send an HK-47 to take out their generals. If their generals cannot serve me, we'll send an HK-47 to take them out, and we'll take out these very small targets." To the point that they have to join us and they have to become a part of the Sith Empire.
Yeah, there's this old like line where it's like, once you steal something, you spend your entire life fighting to keep it. And Revan just like went about and did it like this whole other way. Like there's a whole plotline. I'm not sure if it's in the game. I remember reading it somewhere, but like the HK is used to kill a senator's wife who had been like cheating on him, and then that's what gets the senator to fall in league with Revan because he was using his droid. And it's this whole sort of like undercover stuff that is so much cooler than just all-out warfare.
Yeah, it's he's not just an assassin droid. Like he is the assassin droid. He is like the polar opposite of Grievous. Darth Malak is to Revan what like HK-47 is to like General Grievous. He's like,
Okay.
I used a bunch of lightsabers and I killed Jedi all the time. HK-47. It had HK-47 been around in the Clone Wars, it'd be like, oh, I'll just go kill the Trade Federation leaders and they'll have nobody left.
See you guys later. I'll be back soon.
Yeah, bye.
I'd argue that HK-47 is a bit cooler than General Grievous, though.
Well, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, Malak sucks and he's just like force everything.
Oh, yeah.
So we were kind of like with Kashyyyk. Like one of the big things you find out that the Wookiee, Zalbar's brother, is now
Chandar.
running the Wookiees, and he's helping them be enslaved without them, and they don't really realize they're all kind of being tricked. And like they send you down to the Shadowlands. I forget exactly why you're being sent down
Shadowlands,
there.
that's what they're called. You're being sent down there to retrieve the sword.
Another Wookiee.
You gotta find the
that's-
Wookiee and you gotta find Baka's sword.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I found the sword by accident before I
Yeah,
knew I
and
had to. But I didn't.
Baka, obviously a reference to Chewbacca, but
Oh,
which Mike
so.
just realized as I said it. But
yeah, I did. 'Cause I got the sword. I went and killed the weird monster and got it, and I
Yeah,
got his father.
you have to get the sword because it's like
It's a ceremonial thing.
yeah, you have to get it for a ceremony, like so Zalbar can oust Chandar and the Wookiees
like
can be
the
put back
Shadow.
on track. Not really oust him, but you need to
No,
get rid
it's-
of Chandar.
I think no, because they have Zalbar. That's at that point. They send you down there to get it, and you
Yeah.
find out in the meantime that Chandar is basically selling Wookiees to Zerka, and then you go up and is it his dad or is it a different Wookiee that you bring up that sort of exonerates Zalbar?
I think it's his dad.
Yeah.
Is it his
You gotta get the sword from the Rancor looking monster that's
Yeah.
been shoved in there for 1,000 years or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's
Super
God.
easy for you to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're a Jedi at that point.
You're a very special Jedi too.
I can't remember the name of that fucking creature, but it's a big thing in Jolie's story as well. Jolie.
Every time you say Jolie, I just want to go Jolie, but every time.
Let's talk a bit about Jolie Bendo.
Let's-
I like Jolie.
Best
Base Windu, you mean? Good.
Jolie, first of all, Jolie Bendo, just his role in this is he's living on Kashyyyk partially because he's like self-exiled, but also because he is related to that creature as well. He used to be in a like a little, I think there were 3 of them. There were 3 Jedis he was a part of that they would go out and they would hunt down very dangerous creatures.
Yep.
Yeah, and so he's also related to like that creature on Kashyyyk. He's like, I couldn't kill it and everyone died, so I decided just to stay here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I should have read stuff.
I mean, there's also a whole thing where the whole reason he gets to Kashyyyk, which you find out in his story, you find out more on Manon, but like he went against the Jedi code and got married.
Yeah.
And trained his wife into being a Jedi who eventually falls to the dark side, and he refuses to kill her, and she goes off and kills thousands of people in the Mandalorian Wars or whatever, and he basically exiles himself on Kashyyyk and then has to face that monster, and it's like it's your little personal growth symbolism right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jolie is immediately just so he's immediately like so endearing as a character. First of all, you meet him, you're like you find out through like the Zerka guys that there's like somebody fighting them off. And they're like, there's somebody who lives in the Shadowlands who's like he's making it hard for us to travel through here. And you're killing
And the
like
Wookiees used
Zerka.
to
And,
think he was like a wood spirit or something. They didn't realize he was
yeah,
a being.
they thought he was like a ghost that lived there.
Yeah.
The Terran Tatic is the monster name, by the way.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was trying to look it up as well.
Yeah, but I like when you meet him, he's living in a little Yoda hut. It's like the same exact hut that Yoda was in. And he immediately is like crazy Yoda, where he's like, what are you doing in my yard? Get out of here. Like,
Get off my lawn.
get off my lawn. Like,
That's
I
accurate.
was sent down here to find this blade and kill this monster. He's like, I don't have time for this.
Like he only you have to do that little mission for him where you have to get rid of these Zerka people or he won't join you. And you can either kill him, which I did by accident, and then I reloaded.
What?
Where I used to,
Oh my god, I would have
good.
been so angry at you.
Me too.
not Jolie, the Zerka people.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna kill Jolie.
I was like, I didn't even know you could kill Joey. So
Yeah.
I was
No, I don't think you can.
Mike
Well,
ends the game with one companion.
Well, you do end the game with no companions. Does that count?
oh,
I mean, you're
It's not
technically
actual
there,
dogs.
but not there.
Technically, you win the game with T3 still, if you want to get technical.
Fuck T3.
You have T3, and I guess you still have HK as well.
T3 was useless.
They never leave the Evan.
That's what my walkthrough said. He said it was useless. I never used it.
Well, your walkthrough was damn wrong.
Yeah, it's fair.
IGN.
T3 has like, if you want, like, if you need somebody that just has skills, like you know that you're going somewhere with like a shitload of mines, like the Shadowlands. Yeah,
I could deactivate some, but I at one point later on the game, I just walked through and blew them all up myself and just healed myself. Didn't even care.
Yes. No, this is why you don't have credits, Mike.
I had heal. It didn't matter.
You recover the mines and you sell them.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Or you.
I tried, but got to a point where you couldn't do it.
Or you're smart and you know if you go to Kashyyyk first, then you're gonna fight Kalu Nord at the end. So you lay a bunch of mines down at the end of at the beginning of the Shadowlands before you go deeper into it.
The Shadowlands are very dark too, which is cool. Like
they are the Shadowlands.
Yeah, but they fit it. Like that was one of my favorite areas, and like the whole Kashyyyk. I mean, I was really kind of getting into the game at this point. Like Tatooine, I wasn't really into it, but Kashyyyk kind of for me picked up a lot. And then like also like you have like the way the storyline ends with the whole thing where you bring up that Wookiee and you got to fight his brother. That was also fun. And when they finally all realize that he's full of shit.
I like that the Wookiees of all planets have the most political intrigue going on. I don't know if that was like intentionally done or anything, but
I think it was because it was like the reaction to the fact that in Return of the Jedi, instead of Ewoks, is originally supposed to be Wookiees, and it was supposed to take place on Kashyyyk, I believe. So
that finally got destroyed. I thought.
I don't remember, but it was definitely supposed to be
remember.
Wookiees in the army. So
yeah.
Stefan, how does the dark side quest end on that way? Does Chendar win? What happens with Zalbar? I've never done the dark side.
I actually didn't get to this planet when I played through it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the finish on dark side.
Yeah, you can leave Chandar in power.
But Zalbar still goes with you, right?
I think you might actually. I think Zalbar might actually leave.
No, because he owes you a life debt.
Yeah, he stays even if you go dark side in the end and kill everybody.
Yeah.
He's still with
Yeah.
Even betrays the mission.
There's a character
they all
who
stay, don't they?
There's a character
No.
who halfway through the game can leave you.
Some of them do leave.
That still leaves you. Does that count?
It's
What?
kind of.
She leaves halfway through the game. We're almost at
Sort
that
of.
part, actually.
No, there's
Getting
a character. I think Jolie Bindo will actually, if you're too dark, he will actually just like leave your party.
No, because he's there at the Temple of the Ancients. He has to be there.
There's definitely a character that can leave.
Karth leaves. Karth like runs off into the woods. If you're evil, even if you've romanced him, like if you're a girl, he still leaves.
Are we sure? Because I know when I played Darkside back in the day, Karth was there till the end, and I will get to it.
There's definitely. I remember that a character will leave your crew. I don't remember which character it is, but if you're too evil, a character will just fuck off and they'll say like I'm done with you're too bad. I'm gone.
A mission does, or you can kill mission.
You can kill mission.
That sounds right. Yeah.
At the end of the game, you have a choice. You can end up having to fight some of your companions, and you can kill essentially half your party. Like I said, I think you can end the game with 3 people left alive. I think you can end the game with Bastila, Karth, and
No,
T3.
not Karth.
I want to say, doesn't the second game expand on this though?
There are certain
Kind of.
options. So at the very beginning of the second game, where you reveal whether your character went evil or dark, it has certain options. So certain characters will appear depending on your choice in that second game.
Yeah, there's actually a big thing too where you talk to Atton Rand at the very beginning of the and he makes a point about Revan being a woman, and you can correct him and be like, wait, are you an idiot? Revan was a male Jedi.
I always play Revan as a woman.
It's funnier to say Revan's a woman because Atton has a line that's like, ooh, we wish I could have met her. Yeah. sounds pretty hot.
Oh, and also I like how when you get to the Starforge map, I did this by accident. When in Kashyyyk, you can either say the right answers, which will get you dark side points, but you don't have to fight, or you have to say the wrong answers, and then you have to fight a robot thing, 2 robots, which I had to do because I wanted to be light side.
Yeah, it's like a test because you realize that Revan and Malak, every time you find a Starforge map, you get a little vision of Revan and Malak getting there the first time.
Originally, yeah.
And so, that was really cool. It gives you a test to say, are you Revan? You have to answer these questions as if you were Revan. And it's a nice little It's a nice little like mental quiz of like, oh, you gotta think like a Sith Lord, or you have to fight this giant robot that will just kick your ass.
I fought the giant robot because I don't.
like fighting the giant robot. I think it's a cool looking robot. I like the Starforge like aesthetic of everything. I like that it looks very like it's still like insane futuristic technology, but it still somehow looks antique next to everything else. Like I think the robot at the very beginning in Dantooine, when you go into that little like forge temple, which is just again like 20 feet away from the Jedi temple.
How did you ever find it?
Yeah. Oh, we could never get in. Oh, if only you had a sword that could cut things famously.
So any last thing to say about Kashyyyk before we move on to the best planet in the game?
Well, yeah, we have to talk about Jolie Bindo a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, we just mentioned who he is, but we need to talk about like his like philosophy, because you come across him and he's not only has he like forsaken like the Jedi and the Sith, but he is like the most reasonable character in the Star Wars universe.
He's literally the only Jedi that you go up and you go like, well, this doesn't make any sense to me, and he goes like, that's because it's stupid. The Jedi shouldn't have made this decision. And
yeah, he argues with Bastila nonstop about how like Bastila's like, no, the Jedi are good. Like the Jedi can't be evil. Because they're the Jedi. And he's like the only one to call around and be like, that's a pretty arrogant attitude to have, to think like, if you think that you're above all evil naturally, then you will naturally do evil things and think they're good. The world is not absolute. I don't see it absolutes.
Yeah, but the Jedi's fault.
Yeah,
they're a little pompous.
Everything's the Jedi's fault.
Yeah. He just shits all over the Jedi constantly. I'm just like, yes, Jolie, yes. The Jedi are wrong. Jolie forever. Yeah, he's the ultimate, like, Qui-Gon Jinn was...
He's Qui-Gon Jinn, basically.
Yeah, he's Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was famously, like, the first time we saw a Jedi doing non-Jedi things. I think that's why people fell in love with him immediately. But then Jolie came along and, like, we were able to, like, define what a great Jedi was. And since then, because people love great Jedi so much, they've made a million different great Jedi that are all
kind of like ruins it, but
yeah, they're all completely different, and they kind of like, some people say great Jedi are just Jedi that like technology. No, it's a like philosophical thing. It's down to like you can't see the Jedi as fully good. You can't see the Sith as fully evil. There's a spectrum that everything exists on.
Yeah, he's 100% like a deontologist, where he just like I am going to do what I think is right in the moment, but I'm not gonna base it on the fact that someone else told me that something should be right.
Yeah, why is this good? Because no, that's not an answer.
It's not good enough for me. Yeah. And he even says that to you, like, and he actually has one of the most like, and this is only if you, I think, complete his quest line, but he actually talks about he tells you a story where he's like, there's a frog or something that follows a snake, knowing that the snake is ultimately going to bite him. And your character goes, well, why are you following the snake? And he's like, I had to do my best, or something like that. And it's a very symbolic for what your character can or cannot become. Because like Jolie will join you even if you're evil. And if you're evil, he knows it and still is like, well, I got to see what I can do.
Your ultimate goal is still worth doing.
Yeah.
Your goal is to beat Malik, and whether or not you're good or evil, that is a goal worthy of achieving.
He's definitely a free thinker, and I think one of my favorite characters in the game.
I think that's why I personally like Manon so much, because after you get Jolie, if you go straight to Manon,
that storyline is so boring though.
I like it because I like getting into the nitty gritty of it. I like bringing Bastila along with me. It's better if you bring Bastila and Jolie.
Everything
hates it.
Manon is boring. Okay, let's talk about Manon, because I want to.
It's very much episode 1 political. If you're into it, good. If you're not, just
like you have to
be boring.
Look, I will admit, Manon is a boring planet. But if you bring Jolie Bindo and Bastila Shan with you, you can do the trial, and the entire time Bastila is just going on and on about how. By the way, the trial of Manon, for those who haven't played the game, Manon is a neutral planet.
It has KOTOR reserves, which is supporting both the Sith and the Republic.
I'm actually going to take a second real quick to bring up Riley. You need to fix your fan, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a slight buzzing, and it was fine at first, but now it's getting worse.
Oh, hold on.
So you're saying about the trial?
Yeah. So the trial is they have the Culto reserves. It's a neutral planet. There's a Sith base and a Jedi base, and you arrive in the middle of a trial in which a Republic officer has murdered a Sith officer, and
he's married, and it looks bad.
It looks bad, and he's married to they're both good friends of Jolie. Mm-hmm. And so
they're like old sort of like they fought in the war together. Like his name is Sunri or Sunri. And he gets excited to see him, and then finds out that Sunri is on trial, and then your character gets appointed his like adjudicator. You have to research whether or not he did it.
And if you take Bastila with you, the way the trial plays out is you find out that the Republic was spying on the Sith, and the guy who is again married was like sleeping with this Sith, like this
Alassa,
this Sith like Jedi, essentially this Sith like actual like Sith dark Jedi,
who was using him for information.
It's like this super it's this super complicated issue where you have to you have to come to the terms of like I need to do this for the Republic so that I can get this ship to go down to the Starforge. I think if you're playing Darkside, you can do it for the Sith as well.
Yep.
But it's just you got to find out like the best way to solve the trial to get help to go down to Manon, to like the bottom of the ocean.
You can also find out the truth, and then I think blackmail the Cellcath and saying like, we know you're helping the Republic. Let me down here now, or I'll reveal your secret. Because they're trying to give. So if anyone doesn't know, Kolto is what heals you in the game and in Star Wars in general. And like Manan is like the spice in Arrakis and Dune, where it's like it's where it comes from.
I like that you chose to reference something more obscure than Star Wars to explain Star Wars.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. I was like, what is she talking about?
Star Wars, the most popular franchise on the planet. Anyway, let me reference Dune for a second.
That's what I was curious about.
Well, like it's where it comes from, and the Cellcath are secretly giving the Republic more, and you can blackmail them to allow you back down. Like you have to go down into the depths to. I don't even remember. I hate this part.
It's like a Culto refinery plant.
It's really stupid. It's the whole planet is underwater, except you're on a city that's floating. So think of what's the name of that planet in the regular Star Wars?
Camino.
No, not Camino.
No, he's thinking of Mon Calamari.
Yeah. What that was called Calamari?
Yeah.
No, that's
Are you thinking of the planet where the clones come from? Or are you thinking of the planet
not Camino. The one that was in the Darth Vader comic that we read about earlier on the show.
That's Mon Calamari. You're thinking of the one where Admiral Akbar comes from.
Yes, that planet. That's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. I didn't like this planet has a lot of running around. There's a couple stupid side quests, and then when you go underwater, like there is a part because you go underwater to this base where the aliens that are here, or the natives, have went crazy for some reason, and they're killing everybody.
Sharks too, yeah.
Yeah, it's a refinery plant where like something has gone wrong.
It is a stupid you're running around.
I'm surprised nobody else liked it because I love this section.
I hate this part.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great.
Because I think Stefan and I maybe we like it because it's like a Resident Evil storyline.
Yeah,
the part that broke me was when you're walking really slow, when you have to put on the suit and go out in the water, and he just moves as slow as molasses. I'm like, there is no point for this.
Oh man, wait till you play the second game.
Yeah, I like that part only because maybe it's because I live at the beach and I like the beach and I like the.
Put on a wetsuit and go underwater.
If it was like Star Wars, I would if I could walk along the bottom. Like if it was a big old wetsuit with the
sonic emitter.
Yeah, I like that you can go into there. You see like a giant whale go by at some point. There's not even a whale; it's like a giant Firaxis shark, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's the whole thing is like the progenitor is what it's called. Like goes crazy, and then it makes the Cellcaths go crazy, and you have to there are two options where you either have to destroy the machinery or you have to get her to go away. And it's just
I think you can poison the water.
Yeah. Which kicks you off the planet. You can never come back.
Well, yeah, because you're
Very,
poisoning the KOTOR supply. You've essentially ruined the ability to heal.
Yeah. It's essentially like Plant 42 in Resident Evil. It's like this looming danger that you know about that you can either go poison or take care of another way.
Yeah. But I like the implications of it is like if Plant 42 was also the ability to make first aid spray, like
yeah,
you can poison the KOTOR supply, and everyone will be like the consequences in the long term would be ruinous to the entire galaxy.
Mm-hmm. I also want to point out, because Mike said you walk slow in the water suit, but there is a force power to make you walk faster.
There is.
Oh, there is. Oh yeah, Bastilla had it, but I never had it because I didn't.
Bastilla.
Jesus. And he doesn't do it on purpose. It's not on purpose. I don't understand. Anyway,
okay, and then after that, like the whole part, like when you get to the Star Forge and you break the generator, you find out it was a generator making the fish go crazy. I'm assuming if you don't mess with the generator and you try to walk right towards the Star Forge map, you just get eaten and die.
You do. Yeah,
get swallowed whole. It's actually I like doing it because it's like one of the only times in these games the camera does something completely different. Because if you walk out there, like it cuts to you like looking back and forth, and you're like something's wrong, and it cuts to like a first person shot of the progenitor like swimming at you and scooping you up.
Oh, the giant fish thing.
Yeah, it's like the mom, and I was reading earlier that apparently it's like the ancestor of both the Cellcath and the Phyraxan sharks.
Yeah,
which is why it's making everybody go crazy.
Yeah, it's like the godfish essentially.
Yeah.
So wild.
It's a dumb part. Like that whole planet is just too long. But this is where the part where I mentioned earlier,
that's
where I
also
had
where you get the Gizka.
Oh yeah, it is.
You get the Gizka from here?
Yeah, you can.
I thought I got him earlier.
It's one of the first things you can do in Manon. You go talk to somebody at the port.
Oh yeah, we can sell them.
Yeah, and they're like, I got a shipment for a bunch of Gizka. Anyway, I dropped it on your ship, and you're like, what? Why? And they're like, I don't know. It said we were supposed to drop it in whatever ship landed here. And you're like, but no, it's the wrong ship. And they're like, too late. And then you go back on your ship, you just have like dozens of Gizka everywhere.
And you can kill them, and it doesn't matter. It's just like another two like jump into the room.
Yeah, every time. Yeah, you can kill them like for the rest of the game. Every time you go on the ship, you can kill all the Gizka, and they just keep coming back. And they're like both horrifying and cute.
I think they're really cute.
I think they're really cute, but I recognize that they are basically frogs without front legs that have like ears for eyes. Like they are reasonably terrifying when you think about them. But yeah, I think they're pretty cute in the game. If you look at like the concept art for them, they're hideous monsters.
They're like space dogs, basically. On your ship.
Yeah. Space termites. I got space
Yeah.
I got a Gizka infection on my ship. And yeah, like, I think
after you finish Manon, this is where the game kind of can vary a little bit. Like for me, using my guide, it said Korriban was next, but then you also once you finish 3 planets and get 3 Star Force maps, then you get abducted by the Leviathan.
You get to meet Saul.
Yes. Yeah, this is like at this point in the game, with 3 planets down, realistically, if you're not Mike, realistically, you should have a lot of the companions more or less not finished, but you should have a lot of their like personal storylines like 80% done.
Yeah, I think the one exception is Karth.
Yeah, because this is where Karth's story like really starts to take off.
Yeah.
I think at this point you can have mission as a Jedi. You should be pretty powered up. And your team should be pretty powered up because you get taken out of action, and
you have to send somebody else in.
Yeah, I always send in Mission Veo with a stealth field generator.
What? Juhani all the way.
Juhani's great, but if you send in Mission with a stealth field, she can just like. I love the idea of her just causing chaos on the ship. Like as everyone gets kidnapped. Like you get scooped up like in Empire Strikes Back, like in A New Hope. And you gotta send everyone's in cells. You gotta send somebody out to rescue everyone.
Jolie.
I will send Jolie occasionally because he can force persuade some people.
Yeah, it's faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's like the easy mode version. I think he's also kind of like the default choice to make.
The guide said HK-47 because you can equip them really quick.
That's a good one because he's just strong. It depends on how you want to do it. I like this part of the game because it makes you think completely differently. You have to say like, okay, how do I want to do this section? And I only have one character to do it with, so I have to decide now. I always send Mission Veo because you can get a shitload shitload of computer spikes and parts from those little terminals. Like you can basically fill your entire inventory with parts and spikes.
With that one that you get.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a lot. It gives you like 100 though, which is more than enough.
Only for
like,
one time though. Once you're done, it goes away.
Yeah, you don't keep them.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's more than enough for the ship, basically.
Yeah, as long as you don't do what I did the first time, walk away and then go back to it and go, oh shit, I better go reload my save.
Yeah, it's I sent Mission and I sent her to I love the idea of her causing chaos on the ship stealthily, like her just fucking with computers and the like alarms are going off and the Sith are like, what's happening? Who's doing this? I don't understand. Why are these circuitry, like why is all this circuitry just exploding?
It's a cool part and it plays so much of a story, and also like hearing this, like all the different ways that we can do it, because that's also really interesting. I guess I knew that, but I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like if you send HK-47, it's more or less just straightforward shoot and kill everything. Jolie can kind of force persuade some guys to like not attack him. Mission, can like fuck around with the technology. Juhani's also a good choice because she's like one of the best companions to have. Yeah, she's like an all-around great companion. She has good skills and she's really strong.
And then also this is when you see your three characters, well, Karth, your character, and Bastila being tortured.
Yeah,
being tortured. I'm like, that part is kind of like where you can answer depending on how you say it. You can, and he'll just keep torturing her. Like, I mean, it just starts showing you how fucked up Malik is. Like, it was a cool part.
Yeah, I like this is the big part of the game for a lot of people, which we should say right now. This is the spoiler part of the game. Like, we already kind of mentioned it, but we have kind of. But this is like
tangentially.
This is like where if you don't want to hear the spoiler, stop listening now, because I don't believe in spoilers, but this is an old game and this is arguably like the biggest twist in game history.
And it's so well.
It's so well done. Yeah, you get all your team back and you're escaping the ship and you get to one of, I think, like the coolest areas in the game just because it's so different. That room, like that cell room that's like 9 cells that are like dark red. It's got like the red lights in it. And you're going through and Malik freezes both Karth and Bastila or whoever your teammates are with you at that point. It's just like
those two for me.
It's the game makes it those three. You can't use them to sneak through the ship.
Yeah, because at that point you also come across Saul and Karth has like a freak out.
It's so good.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you should find out pretty early on that Saul is the one who like betrayed him and joined the Sith Empire and helped take down the Republic. He's like, there's a big point that he makes where he's like, without Saul Kareth, Malik would not have achieved what he was able to, even he was able to achieve. Like Saul,
kind of like
tactician.
Yeah,
with Tarkin, if Palpatine didn't have Tarkin, he wouldn't have been as successful.
Yes, but instead of Palpatine, imagine if it was like Darth Maul leading the Sith and Tarkin.
An absolute dumbass.
Like Palpatine doesn't need Saul Kareth. Malik needs Saul Kareth.
Yeah, and there's a lot of background. I'm not sure if you go through enough with Karth, he talks about Saul and he's the reason why he doesn't like trust you and doesn't want to talk to you at the very beginning, because Saul is was his commander in charge, was basically like his father figure, and then
his best friend, like he had met his family.
Yeah, and Saul is the one that gives the order to destroy Telos. Yes. Which comes in the second game, but that's Karth's homeworld, which ultimately, presumably, kills his wife and child and destroys his home planet. And Karth is just like still like a very Kantian sort of like hero, where he's like, I'm still gonna be loyal to the Republic, I'm still gonna keep moving forward. And then when Saul shows up, Karth it's just like, you fucking bastard. Like
he kind of does lose it.
Yeah, you realize that Karth is a patriot. He loves the Republic.
Yeah.
But you're like, is Karth just in this so he can kill Saul? I think he's just in this so he can kill Saul. That's the only reason he's pro-Republic.
I hate to point this out, but I actually think Karth is boring as hell.
I love
Thank you.
Oh my god.
I love Karth. His freak out, I think, is just the best, where he's like, so he doesn't trust anything, but I think he's pretty calm up to that point. And yeah, he's just like, it's like suddenly emotion. It's like, oh shit.
I was addicted to Karth the whole game, so he's just like, why are you so angry at me, bro?
Oh yeah, because you're dark side.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like the first character, like when you go out and meet that vendor on Terrace, where you can kill him, and he's literally just like, bro, why did you do that? if you're evil, and then he doesn't like trust the rest of the game.
Oh yeah.
Which I should point out, Stefan, you were here for this, but I mentioned that every year I send Riley Valentine's Day cards based on Knights of the Old Republic. I've been doing this for like 8 years. My favorite is still the first one I ever sent you, which I think we both have on our phones now. It's a picture. It's that picture of Karth smiling that somebody made. Karth just read, "I can't trust anybody."
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
There's a meme of Malik standing over Bastila, and the line just says like, "Where'd you get that sensual perfume?" It's ruined that moment for me ever since.
That fight with Malik is kind of cool, like where you have to like we were kind of starting to say he freezes your characters and you have to fight him. I mean, it was cool, like of course you have to overpower him, but I like that he's like, you're still more powerful, because you're his master. We're his master, as you find out. And then this is also when Bastila sacrifices herself, just like earlier in the game with Travis, whatever the hell his name was.
Trask.
Travis Olgo, come on.
Travis Olgo. Trask.
That's his new name, Travis. And that plays such a big part because I was like, wait a second, she's not coming back. Like, shit, because she was one of my characters. I was kind of pissed off when they took her away. I mean, I remembered it vaguely that she goes away for a little bit, but I was not happy I didn't have her for the next planet.
It's also, it's also like you, at this point in the game, she's like, I'll sacrifice myself. It's like, no, like, we have a forced bond. Like, we are literally tied together. Like,
if you do this, it will kill me. Come on.
It will kill me too. Like, Bastila, stop. Bastila, no. And it's part of her warp logic too of like, I must save you. But more importantly, this is the part where Malik keeps talking to you, and you're like, what? Like, the way he's talking to you is very familiar. Yeah, he's like, hello, my old friend. You're like, who the fuck are you?
I guess we never explicitly said it, but like there's like this whole you go back through different conversations in the game, like early on when Karth says like you can rip out memories, and Bastila, like there are like certain things in Bastila's conversations with you on Dantooine, and then you, Karth, and Malik are all just like Malik not, but mind's blown.
Yeah, it's the flashback to Korriban of you removing the mask is just like, it's like just the most like mind fucky thing of being like, holy shit.
And the way they explain it is that when the ship got shot down, you survived, but they did something to wipe your memory. So he said, screw it. We'll just train him as someone different where he has no idea who he is.
Which Riley and I have both yelled about this in agreement to each other, but that's pretty fucked up, Jedi. Like,
the Jedi are not good.
They like just on a moral level, we're gonna take this person and wipe their memory and use them as more or less a slave,
basically,
to achieve our end.
It's very a Clockwork Orange, where it's just like, we're gonna take everything that makes you a unique individual and fill in what we want. It's just like, by virtue of the game, your character discovers themselves again.
This is also where we find out that not only were Revan and Malik best buds, but they had kind of initiated what the Sith would call like the two. Like, there always has to be two Sith.
Oh yeah,
together.
we talked about that at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what to say because I don't know what we've already said.
Yeah, we covered the rule of two and
the rule of two, yeah.
And Malik's fucking shitty attempt to take over.
But I mentioned this in the previous part, but like this is, I think, the one big sort of like broken part of the game is Calo Nord is the one that tells Malik that you're Revan and you're with Bastila, because he survives obviously the attack on Tatooine, and he goes, I have something interesting you want to hear. And it's like, you fucking met him in the cantina in the Undercity and you were just like, peace, I don't care about you.
You threatened to kill him.
And it's like, that's Revan, you know it, and you tell Malik later. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, they had such a hard time introducing Darth Vader after he became Darth Vader, like in novels and stuff, because they were like, how do we make Anakin how do we introduce this character? And they were like, well, let's just make him an entirely new character. Like, people knew who the Jedi Anakin Skywalker was, but nobody knows who this mysterious Darth Vader was. And this would be like if somebody saw Anakin Skywalker 2 years after he was supposed to have died, and they were like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. The strongest Jedi to ever exist.
Yeah.
Like, what's Anakin Skywalker doing in this bar? I'm gonna kill him.
I don't care.
I'll threaten him.
Let's go pick on that Calo Nord guy.
and the whole the story plays so much more because Bastilla sacrificing herself is like you see scenes throughout the next two planets that you're on of her just being tortured. Like he just keeps electrocuting her. She's like, I'll never join the dark side. Oh yes, you will. Like it made me cringe.
Yeah, but it's also him like he's breaking her down. Like, I mean, he's a torturer, but he's breaking her down like mentally. He's like, this is why the Jedi are wrong. Like, this is where you're wrong. This is where your philosophy is flawed. And I don't know, maybe if the Jedi philosophy wasn't so fucking flawed, they wouldn't lose so many people to the dark side. I stand with Kreia.
Oh, shut up.
No idea what you're talking about.
Don't worry about it.
Entire purpose is like the Jedi fucked up, and they're the reason that like the Sith exists.
Complete bitch.
Yeah, which if you go back to like the original like old history of the Jedi with like a Junta Paul, they are the reason the Sith exist.
And then Korriban, I was okay with Korriban. Like I go to it. I'm glad I went to it last because I mean, with me playing as a good character, it was a little annoying because I had to try to be a Sith. So I had to like lie a couple different times and try to get by. Like it was weird. It's a cool. I like the planet.
Did you meet Dustil or did you skip that too?
Who's Dustil?
Okay.
I went in all the tombs and killed everybody. I did do that.
So Karth's son is presumed dead after Telos, but he actually gets like sort of recruited by the Sith, and he's on Korriban. Like you meet him, and you guys are sleeping on Karth. Like this is so sad.
Karth was with me at this point, just because I lost Bastilla, so I brought Karth in. I said it wrong again, didn't I?
If you take
Karth,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
If you take Karth on Korriban with you. First of all, it's great because it's basically my rule with taking like companions to planets in any game. Like I know KOTOR now at this point where I know exactly who to take for which story beats. But in any game where I'm like, oh, we're going to this area, I know that this companion hates this area, so I'm going to take them because they will have some interesting things to say about it.
It's interesting you mentioned that because you mentioned bringing Bastilla with the trial on Manan. But because I always do Manan last, which means it's after the Leviathan, I don't think I've ever played through it that way. I've never brought her there.
Yeah, she is great because she's so strict and like the code is all that matters, and the whole trial is about like the code doesn't matter. like it's not necessarily whatever means to the end, but the means and the end both matter equally.
I mean, they do show how evil the Sith are on this planet, like with this one side, not really side quest, but little thing you can do where they have 3 people standing here to try to get in. And he's like, yeah, I told them they stand here, I'll let them in, but I'm not going to let them in. They're just going to die. Like, it is just, it's brutal.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. Yeah, I like that whole area a lot. I like Korriban in both games a lot because they're totally different. In this game, Korriban is an active academy. In the second game, Korriban is a dead planet.
Yep.
But in both games, you are going through like the ruins. You're learning about the Sith, which is incredibly interesting. You're learning about their structure, and the way the school is set up is so interesting to me. There's a headmaster, and then there's like I can't remember what like his apprentice is called, but she's like
the chick.
Yeah, and she wants to kill him to take over, and he knows and expects her to try to kill him, and it's like,
and he thinks like, so lowly of her. Like he's just like, it's not gonna happen.
You realize how the Sith operate, and it's just such a good insight into that like weird structure, which the MMO, if you play Dark Side, just like compounds on massively. Where it's like I think we both did Dark Side when we played together, right, Riley? And it was like you start at the academy basically, and you like your goal is to kill your way up.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Old Republic. Yeah.
And
you basically go through the same temples and stuff as well. It's pretty cool. The design remains the same.
It's cool learning about like the past of the Sith and like how they came to be, and like who they revere and why.
I like how in the Jedi, basically what like a Jedi Master is supposed to do at the Padawan is kind of keep them on the path to the light. And with the Sith, it's like, stay on the dark side, but at some point you also got to kill me. So they always have to do these weird multitasks on each side, which it's hilarious.
I think that's why I like the Clone Wars so much, is because so much of it is Palpatine constantly threatening Dooku, and Dooku just trying to find all these new ways to kill Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, of course, my master, I'll always believe you. Palpatine's like, if you send that fucker Maul at me one more goddamn time, I swear to God, I will fucking kick your ass. I just like the idea of Palpatine being like, I'll kick your ass, bro. Stop it.
I mean, Korriban is just odd too. Like it is a very weird planet that you're on. Like it's very deserty and like everything is dead, and like you go like it's also pretty quickly. You just go in a couple different tombs and you have like a little mission because you're trying to earn enough reputation in order to pass the test to tell the Sith guy that yes, I'm ready, we can go to the final place and continue on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that it's I love that it's like you go there and it's like the culmination of everything you do in Korriban. Like the chick's like, oh, I'm gonna like the Twilight like underling is like, oh, I'll go there and I'll meet you there and we'll kill the master together. And the master's like, I'll go there, and the Twi'lek's probably gonna try to kill me there, so you'll be on my side. And then it has that, I don't know what that puzzle is called. It's a puzzle that shows up in like so many games where you have to like stack the rings on top of one another.
Yeah, I know exactly. I forgot about that. Like the first time I did it, I had to look up a guide because I was just like, I don't even understand the rules. But it's probably the best puzzle in the game.
I love whenever that puzzle shows up in any game. It shows up in like every BioWare game after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like their go-to puzzle. It shows up in like, I think like multiple Dragon Ages. I think it might show up in all 3 Dragon Age games, to be honest.
Does it really?
I think so. It's not in Inquisition, but it's in one of the DLCs for Inquisition.
Huh.
It's just like, it's like a go-to puzzle for any game. And I don't know what it is about it, but I enjoy it so much. It's so easy and fun. Like now that I know how to play it, it's so easy and fun. The first time I was definitely like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'd like look at the rules. But I love after you get to the Starforge map on Korriban and you either side with the underling or the master. I think it's regardless of who you side with, when you come out, it's just chaos. Like
if you side with him and kill the underling, I think you're all fine. But if you kill him, or in my case, you kill both of them, then you have to kill everybody in the city.
Everybody.
It's great.
I would not have been prepared for that otherwise.
I love it. Early. The implication of it is so hilarious to me. Of the second one Sith kills another Sith, all the other Sith are like, it's cracking off. It's time to go. It's like it's like a new position just opened up, so everyone just murder the shit out of each other.
As a total aside, is this where you guys met Darth Bandon, or did you meet him earlier?
This is where I did, yeah.
I think I met him earlier.
Because I find that's one of like the toughest fights in the entire game for me. Because like he is really strong, and then I think he has 2 underlings. They're both like Dark Jedi, and it's like I struggled with this battle so much, and it's always on Korriban for me. But I do that before I get to the Leviathan, so it might have been Manon for you guys.
Fun fact for you, which a lot of people miss, since we're talking about Trask Olgo. Bandon is actually the Dark Jedi.
That's that guy.
Yeah, a lot of people miss that. Yeah, when in the beginning, when Trask sacrifices himself to fight the Dark Jedi, that's Darth Bandon.
Oh, well, that's also because they use the same model for other random random Dark Jedi too. That was my issue with that part. Like I thought that was stupid.
But Darth Bandon is such a unique character model that only shows up twice in the game, so it's pretty like it's just understood that that's him. Like you could say like, oh, all the Twi'leks, they reuse those. They actually, is it Rook Lamar, for whatever reason, they use his character model a number of times.
They do, yeah.
But yeah, that is in the story of the game. That is Darth Bandon at the beginning, coming to kill Bastila Shan and potentially you.
I think it's you.
I think it's just Bastila.
Oh no, it's there to capture Bastila, I think.
Yeah, because I think Malik doesn't know that Malik suspects you're alive, but he doesn't know. He has like that that forced sense of like, oh, my master's still around.
Well, I think no, but Calo Nord would have told him by then.
Yeah, but not at the beginning of the game when Darth Bandon goes to kill him.
Oh, you're talking about the very
very beginning. He's just there to kill or capture Bastila.
Yeah, I've always had a lot of trouble with that fight, and it's always on Korriban, and it's always like right before you're about to go into one of the tombs or something like that, and it's very frustrating.
I would just like to make it just to say it's even more impressive that Trask managed to hold him off.
Oh, barely.
Like Trask just like the Black Knight from Monty Python. He's like cutting off his legs. He's like, you have to do more than that to stop me.
Just but a flesh wound.
he's like on the ground. He like doesn't have any arms or any legs, and he's like, I hope they made it to the escape pod. Like looking out a window of the ship, he sees the escape pod going. He's like, yes, I've achieved my goal.
I tried to fight both those characters together when you can, and I got massacred. Then I just killed the master first, and I went and killed the student because she's like, okay, now I'm gonna kill you too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you do it. Like, if you follow her, you're gonna have to kill her regardless.
Yeah,
I think you can get out of it. I'm not sure.
Maybe if you can talk better. My guy couldn't talk.
I'm trying to think back now. Maybe it doesn't matter. You might not be able to persuade her regardless.
I've never been able to do it, and I always max persuade, but I might not be playing it the right way.
I don't think I'm trying to think back. I'm not sure there's an option to persuade her. I guess it wouldn't make sense because she's not dumb, and you kind of need weak will to be mind tricked.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you can persuade her.
I don't know why they do this other than to tell you that that the success check is difficult sometimes in the beginning of the game. When you're doing the dueling ring, you can
persuade him for more money.
Yeah, and it fails every single time. It's 100% fail rate, no matter what you do. And I don't know why they added that in there, other than to say oh, this the Hutts are smart or something. But then you can talk to another Hutt later and persuade him on the same planet. So I was always wondering. I always wondered why that option was in there, unless you should have been able to persuade him and they just messed it up. So it's odd.
I don't remember, because if you max your charisma I feel like I've been able to persuade him before, because if you max your charisma and ignore the other attributes.
Zax, you can persuade the bounty hunter.
One in the duel. I'm talking about the one in the dueling ring. I'm pretty sure that you can, because I've done it before.
I think you can only persuade him after you beat Bendek Starkiller, and then you can ask for more money. He's like, you know what? You've done so much for me. Here you go. Here's a little extra cash.
And now there's nobody left for you to fight.
Yeah, I think you can't. You can he won't give you more than 10% regardless of how, because I always max out my persuade immediately, and he's never let me do it.
Well, no, you have to max out your persuade and your charisma and the attributes. I think if you do it that way,
maybe
so.
That really fucks you over for the end of the game, though.
It totally does. But that's how I played when I was 11, because I was just I want to be able to persuade everybody.
I'm so cool. Everyone loves me.
All right. So after you get the last map at Korriban, which I like how. Okay, this is where I had to use the stealth thing I was talking about earlier, where you have to sneak by those two monsters. I could not kill them by myself, no matter how many times I tried. You have to sneak. I had to use stealth. That's how I learned there was a stealth button, and got through to that part. But
yeah. Where is this?
When you're inside the temple where the star map is, and you have these two guardian monsters, and you can't, no matter what you do, you cannot kill them. Both of them at the same time. Called. Baby Rancors is what I called them.
They're not baby Rancors.
I know, they look like baby Rancors.
Are they? They're not more Terrantetics, I don't think.
Doesn't matter.
I think they're the same thing that shows up in the second game, that they can go invisible.
That sounds frightening.
In the second game on Korriban, there's if you disturb the graves, you have to attack all these invisible Komodo dragon looking things that I always forget the name of them.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't think they're the same thing.
I can't remember what the monsters were in Korriban.
That's okay.
No, I need to know. To the wiki.
You look up, I'll talk. So and I thought that was cool. You get the star map, you fight all the Sith, and this is where this is the part where you think you're getting to the end of the game, unless you have a walkthrough. No, because you get all the star maps, you figure out where the Star Forge is, where you've been trying to get to all this time, and then you fucking crash.
Can I bring up the dumbest change in Star Wars too? Sure. I don't know why. This changed. It's so stupid and so tiny, and it pisses me off so much because it's so pointless. When Disney made the new canon for Star Wars, Korriban exists, but it's a completely different planet, and it's not called Korriban. It's called Moraband.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. I know. And as soon as you said the most annoying thing, there's no point to it. I don't.
They changed the entire planet, and they made it an M instead of a K, and they added.
Wasn't it in the newest movie? Isn't that where he goes?
Yeah, it's just make it a different planet. If you're gonna change the name and everything about it, why even change it in the first place? Why not just make it a new planet? And just I think they were well, Korriban was that's the birthplace of the Sith, and so we have to make it some other place. And we'll just say oh, they were wrong. This is the actual birthplace of the Sith. To change everything about Korriban is so weird, down to Yoda goes there, and it's Also, they changed it again, yeah, because Yoda goes there and
on the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's like a completely dark, like empty void planet. And like they show like desert outside. He goes into a tomb and it's like completely different. And he talks to Darth Vader. It's like, why even have this in here? Why is this? Why is this core? Like, why even do this? It's such a tiny change. I don't understand.
To piss you off, Stu.
It's so. It'd be like if they said like, oh no, it wasn't Alderaan that got blown up. It was Malderaan. Yeah, and it wasn't actually where Princess Leia was from. It was from where Han Solo's planet. It's like that doesn't matter. The point is they blew up a planet. It's just, oh god, how annoying would it be if they like J.J. Abrams come out and was like, of course when they went to Malderaan. It's almost like George Lucas misspoke one time and then somebody called him on it and he got upset and he was like, no, it's not Korriban, it is Moraband. I've changed it. Now it's Moraband.
So speaking of that, what is the name of the planet you crash land on? Because I can never remember the name.
Rakata.
No, it's not. It was originally called Rakata Prime, and like that's what it was referred to in the video game. But there was a book that came out in like 2012. I don't even remember what it was, like Darth Bane's like Revenge or something like that. I didn't read it, but it's called Lehon. It's like Lehon, and I was like, that's not in the game, but that's what it's called.
Yeah, because you're talking about like when it was the Infinite Empire.
Well, that was just like its name. The Rakata is the name of the species, so Rakata Prime is what they thought, like what fans assumed was the name of the planet and stuff like that.
It has no name in the game.
And it's only revealed in the book and a book that came out 9 years later. That was actually, oh, by the way, it was this. It's like, okay.
The book's not bad. It talks about like the Rakata people, how they built the Starforge and how they ultimately fell.
Yeah, they're like cannibals and they like destroy and eat each other in that book.
I did not like this planet because this is a planet where you end up crashing and you're trying to get parts. You find out there are these two tribes of the same, and I guess you can play this a lot differently. Like in my guide, it said you meet this one tribe, let's say go to the other tribe and then murder all of them. And I did the light way. I went back and I said, no, I'll go rescue those hostages. Little did I realize that when I went back to the old tribe, everybody wanted to kill me. I had a tough time fighting Rancors, fighting these aliens. Like I was like, oh, this is not a good idea. I should have just killed them.
One of the coolest looking planets in the game, though.
Yeah, especially if you still have all the Gizka on your ship, because it pays off hilariously here.
Oh yeah.
Your ship crashes and all of a sudden Gizka have immediately taken over the planet.
Oh, I should have kept the
like
Gizka.
Rabbits.
Yeah, they're just it's like rabbits in Australia. They're just everywhere.
I got a little annoyed because when I had to fight all the Rancors, Rancors can fuck you up if you don't kill them quick enough. They will fuck up your health.
This planet is it's probably gonna be the hardest to talk about because depending on we'll just talk about it a little bit because depending on how you play the game, this planet goes so differently. Just like small things like build up to make this planet incredibly different. If you're light side, you can you kind of have to really play around carefully with the two tribes. I don't know if there's any ending where they don't kill each other or you don't have to take out one or the other.
But if you have to, no matter what. There's also an instant death where when you go to the second tribe, if you tell them, the other guy sent me, they just electrocute you and game over. That happens.
Yeah. That can happen. If you play dark side, this is where shit is super intense because I think you can kill both, but more importantly, at this point, Basilisk's gone, and your crew is kind of
deciding whether or not to go with you.
Yeah, and you can actually get into a fight and kill the majority of your crew that's left. You can kill, I think you kill Mission, Zalbar.
No, Zalbar will stay with you.
Yeah, Zalbar has the life debt with you. He even betrays Mission to stay with you.
Mission, Karth,
Juhani, I think you can kill. And I think you can kill Jolie at this point.
I'm convinced that Jolie has to be there at the Temple of the Ancients with Basila.
I don't think he has to be. But yeah, it's super dark because essentially, you're just you're left with nobody. Your crew has turned against you, and you're it's a super dark story. All right, I guess I'll just have to keep going. Everyone's dead, and you're come on, Karth, let's go. Karth's are we still trying to save the day? Yeah, if
That's
you go
where
dark side,
that's where if you're a girl, he professes his love for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like the idea of Karth being like just like a teenage girl where he's like she's like I love you, and he just like runs off and like runs off into the behind a sand dune, like, all right, bye, I guess that's the end of Karth.
It was a little like when you finally get to the top of the temple, because the whole point of this planet, you find out, one, you got to fix your ship, and two, you have to shut down the shield generator that's surrounding the Starforge, and that whole part where you go up and you run into Bastilla because Malik has sent her down, and you find out that now she's evil because she's wearing black clothes now instead.
Yeah. The international sign of I'm the bad guy.
I think she also has a red lightsaber at that point.
Yes, she does. Which where'd she get that? Does she have a red single lightsaber at that point?
No, it's still double, I want to say.
I thought I think she has a single blade she gets a double blade lightsaber later on Leviathan. I think at this point she has a single blade lightsaber. And I always thought that was I think I remember that because I always thought that was weird. I was like, why didn't they just replace the crystal in her old blade? Did Malik destroy her old lightsaber?
I thought it was double bladed.
I can't. I don't know. I'm having trouble remembering.
I don't know. I never played the dark side. I don't remember.
Well, she attacks you regardless. I like it on this planet all the that there's just like Mandalorians hanging out. Like they're there to like guard the temple. I like that they're just in a camp outside. Like there's like, I guess we'll just hang out here.
They're also like stupid hard for being like random enemies. If you're like running up into the camp, it's just like they're annoying with how hard they are.
I think this was the game that made me realize that lightsabers are difficult to use because we didn't mention them, but on Kashyyyk there's a bunch of Mandalorians too, and you can find like a video recording of a Mandalorian who has cut his arm off with a lightsaber because he's like swinging around like I'm a Jedi too.
It's so funny.
It is really funny, and it's the first time I was like, "Oh, I guess lightsabers aren't just like swords." That it blew my mind. I was like, "That makes complete sense." Yeah, there's no weight in light, so there's no weight in the blade. It's all in the hilt,
so you're not gonna know what to do.
And also, the hilts have like gyroscopes in them, and so you don't just swing them; you have to like actually like force them to move. It's like it was the first time I realized like, oh, a lightsaber isn't just a stick.
It's not like a katana.
Yeah, you have to be trained to know how to use it. And it's like I was suddenly impressed by all lightsaber combat at that point. I was like, oh yeah, okay. In this world,
even like the whole. I mean, I didn't like when you have to fight Bastilla. I mean, this is the part where you have to choose light side or dark side, and this is where you have to. If you choose dark side, Bastilla will join you and you'll kill some of your team members we've been talking about off and on throughout this episode.
I know he's not doing it on purpose.
I'm not. That's the best part. I just can't.
I do it on purpose to annoy people.
Yeah,
it's been 3 hours. Okay.
Stuart, the big hypocrite.
Yeah, I will purposely say names wrong. What annoys me is that he's not doing it on purpose. He's just not absorbing it.
Does not compute. When the Starforge, like the final part of this game, irritated me at point because like they do one thing in this game, like, okay, they run down this hallway and get to Bastilla and get to Malik, and you end up just fighting too many enemies. Like I was like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous now.
Oh yeah.
And they'll send like 20, like I swear they just keep opening the door and respawning. I'm like, okay, this is like you're fighting way too many people without even a chance to sit back and relax. Like I was getting annoyed.
I do like the Starforge a lot. I think it's a really cool.
It looks cool.
Should we explain what the Starforge is?
That's probably good.
Yeah, we have to because it's like it is the point of the game. We're like, okay, this is like the Death Star part of every Star Wars story, which it's funny that this came up because Riley, remember when we played the MMO and we had to go to like 5 planets in a row and all of them involved a giant world killing like device, like weapon. And we're like, are we just gonna
so many ideas?
It's like we just did a New Hope like 5 times in a row. But yeah, the Starforge I love because it's not a planet killing weapon. It looks at first like it's going to be another Death Star, but it's actually it's like a factory. Yeah, it's a giant like factory shipyard that is just used to create like droids and ships and like massive frigates, and all their weapons are made there, all their armor is made there.
Yeah, we mentioned like 2 hours ago where it was like Revan and Malik come back from deep space, and then all of a sudden they have this army, this armada, and people are like, where did this come from? We don't get it. And it's because they found the Starforge and basically spent a year creating it, and it's built by the people you meet on that planet with the energy shield that's like blocking it, the Rakata.
Yeah.
Who have like basically forgotten how to use the technology. And the first time Revan goes there, he convinces him he's going to destroy it, and then he goes in and decides like, this is going to be my army now. And then that's how the game takes place.
Sounds like a Lord of the Rings type thing, like throw it into the fire. No,
throw it.
I love that it's I love that the Rakata view Revan as like a god. So just like they used to be a civilization, and they've like regressed so much. The book about them is like how essentially they like fell to the dark side,
and they invented like hyperspeed too, and brought it to the rest of the galaxy.
And they just like got consumed by their own like culture and fell apart, and eventually like devolved into just like mindless like they're not like mindless, but they're like bordering on they're bordering on insentient objects almost.
Yeah, they're like these like religious like animalistic like zealots that are worshiping something they don't even understand anymore.
Yeah,
back when their empire basically controlled the entire galaxy at one point.
Yeah, it's such a one-off little planet where he was like, I just gotta go here to like take out this. I gotta go take out the shields. It's like it's the indoor part of Return of the Jedi.
Basically, yeah.
But it's got such a deep backstory to it that they don't tell you until later, and it's like, oh shit, like that's fucked up. I think it shows up in the MMO too, because you can find some Rakata like walking around and talk to them. But I love that the Starforge is feeding off of the sun. That's where it gets its power from. And as soon as anything says it gets its power from the sun, my brain goes, I'm dropping this thing into the sun. That is how this always ends.
It's just, it's like one of my least favorite parts of this game. It's second to Manan, where it's just too long of just randomly killing guys for no reason. I mean, I was level 20 at this point. I maxed out. I'm like, I don't need to do this anymore. And you fight so many guys. There were a couple different fights where I would lose 1 to 2 people and barely get by because I had tons and tons of med packs at this point, or life support packs as they were called.
I think the issue is for a while the story stops entirely. It's like you're just killing things. You're not really learning anything.
The only thing you really get is when you get to Bastilla, and that's when you get more like that's like this is a big like story part where you can turn her back to the light side or you can kill her. I tried to turn her. I even followed the guy that okay, tell you love her, like I love you. She's like that's nice, and the lightsaber turned back on. I'm like, oh damn it.
Yeah, you know how that works a lot better if you did her quests and you listened to her and talked to her throughout the game.
Yeah, that didn't happen. I talked to her a few times.
I always
meet her mom.
I always try to save Bastila regardless of whether or not I'm light or dark.
It didn't work out so well. I had to kill her, and I was kind of bummed, even though it doesn't matter, because right after Bastila, when you would have gotten her, it's not very long before you're in the fight with Malik.
It's the next fight.
Yeah, and
it's like the next room.
The thing about Malik, like I had no idea until there's a stupid cutscene that we had not mentioned that Malik has this big gray thing across his mouth. He has no fucking mouth.
That's like, because it was cut off.
I like how Mike is at the end of the game going like, guys, did you know Malik is bald?
I'm okay with the bald part. He had no mouth.
It's like you did not notice that he had this giant metal thing.
Well, I noticed it, but I didn't think his mouth got cut off.
That was from the first time he tried to overthrow Revan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense because I don't know, it bothered me.
Bitches get stitches and cut his fucking mouth off.
Oh, that bothered me when you first see that. I was like,
yeah, I love Malik is like the perfect villain for this story because he doesn't have a lot going on story-wise. He's got like a complex backstory. He was like best friends with there you go. It's the image that Mike just posted of jawless Malik. I love when he turns around, and is like, oh shit, put that back in.
It bothered me because the whole time of the game, you see him with the mouthpiece on, like in the cover, and that was okay. I thought, okay, it's just like a Vader type thing. I didn't realize he had no mouth, like it was just gone.
It's like his space dentures.
Yeah, it's you know what it is. It's intimidating, but it was kind of ruined for me after I watched the Venture Brothers, and I think Stefan's the only one who might understand what I'm referencing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. With Baron, was it Baron Undertooth?
Yeah.
He takes his mouth thing off, it's just tongue sticking out. Everyone's freaking out, like, oh god. That's disgusting.
Played God.
It's a weird, like the fight was annoying. Like when I first played this game, I don't think we had this on the early recording, but I got to this fight very end of the game and I could not beat him. I didn't have enough med packs because if you play light side, you're supposed to destroy these tubes of Jedi where he'll steal their health and he'll recover. Yeah. But if you're dark side, you can just use them to recover yourself anyway.
Yeah, it's super fucking dark that he has these like Kolto tanks filled with Jedi, and he's essentially draining them of their life force to regenerate himself.
I think it just goes to show that he knows he's kind of underpowered to Revan, but he found a way to kind of stay into the fight, because that's what I got from it.
It's really interesting to me too, because Revan, like in this game, Malak kind of got shafted a little bit because he does have a crazy backstory. He was with Revan from the beginning. He was his apprentice. He learned everything from Revan.
Right. But you don't get any of that from him. You get it basically about all the other characters talking about Malak, which is why I feel like that fight is really underwhelming. Because it's like you don't see, there's only like 2 or 3 cutscenes, and like there's one cool one on the Leviathan, but when you finally fight him, it's just like it doesn't feel. I feel like the Basila fight is.
It's so much more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the fight against Malak is just like, cool, I know he was a villain, but like I don't really connect him with my character, even though I'm Revan.
Yeah, it's Basila fight is like, I need to do this, and the Malak fight is like, I've got to do this. Like, I've got this thing after I fight you.
Yeah, I would say overall that even in Revan's story that Malak wasn't the big bad guy, which we'll have to talk about after this game, what happens to Revan afterwards.
Yes, but just like
we're almost at the end right now.
I think the issue with Malak is like you find out only later. You find out from like this, like the second game has Revan Malak stuff in it. The MMO has some Malak story in it. There are books about Malak that are way more interesting. To me, Malak is like a very intimidating Sith Lord after the fact. Yeah, he is just like pure brute force. He's just an unstoppable. He's just like an unstoppable slab of meat. Like, to the point that they even made his character model taller than anybody else. So he's just like huge and intimidating, and he's got that really cool armor and that like the tattoos on his head that just make him stand out. He's extremely well designed as a character, which is why like his armor and his head tattoos show up. Like this is why he's like cosplayed constantly, because it's such an iconic look. But he just needed a little bit more. I don't know. Like it would have given it away maybe if it was too early in the game. Maybe when you find out who you are, it should go into like a little cutscene of you with Rev or with Malak. It just needed something a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's we talked about this way earlier, but like I like this game more than the second one. But the one thing the second one does so much better is it fleshes out its villains and makes them interesting. And
well,
like
the villains,
Malak's,
like they aren't villains in the second game. It's just battling ideologies, essentially.
Well, I mean, 2 of them are.
Well, yeah, one is like they're not characters; they're forces rather.
Yeah, and I feel like just like I agree with you that if you had realized you were Revan earlier, it would have made the impact of that sort of plot twist
a little bit.
It would have cheapened it, but it would have brought Malak into the story and made his cutscenes have so much more of an impact. And I wouldn't change the game for that, but I think the one thing the game really fails at is that Malak isn't menacing.
Yeah, I think like in my ideal world there'd be 5 more of these games, but in my ideal world for this game specifically is after you learn your Revan and you get off the Leviathan and you're back on I think the Leviathan should happen after the 4 planets. In the ideal version of this game, you go through all 4 planets, then you get scooped up by the Leviathan, and the next thing that happens is like a flashback where you learn about Malak. And
like an actual flashback instead of just like dialogue.
Yeah, like you actually play as old Revan and you learn about Malak, and you see Malak like betray you or something. You get a sense of like him working against you. Or you get a sense of like his morality and how he'll just kill everything.
Or just showing them like at like when they were originally like Jedi Knights, like because Malak clearly like admired him and like followed him into battle, and it wasn't until that they would turn dark that he was just like, well, I want more than this. Like he was clearly like a devoted sort of like acolyte to him.
There's a scene in the second game that works in the second game, but it almost works better for this game going back to it, where on Korriban you can go into a kind of hidden temple, and it's You have to defeat Olmec. You go into a hidden temple, and it's like a force vision temple where like you're reliving your part in the Mandalorian Wars. And the second game you play is like one of Revan's
like a soldier.
Yeah, one of his old generals essentially. But there's a part where you come across Malik, and it's like a flashback to you at the Jedi Academy on Dantooine, and it's him recruiting you to work for Revan, and he's recruiting like all these people, and Bastila shows up, and that's when you realize like, wait, Bastila didn't join Malik and Revan, and that's when the vision starts like working against you. It's like a nightmare type situation where you end up having to fight all these people and Bastila and Malik, and it's like that's a great part of that game, but that almost needed to be in this game more than it needed to be in the second one.
I agree.
It gives more context to the second game than it does to the first game than it does to the second game. It's great, but it just, I don't know. Maybe it needs to be in both.
And I do like after you kill Malik, depending on how you played this game, it sounds like there's a bunch of different endings. Like in me, I had everybody but Bastila.
There's essentially 6 different endings.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. You could argue 8.
What's the canon one? That's what we should talk about.
The canon one
is he's light and he saves Bastila.
Yeah.
In the stories, they actually get married and have a son, and then he disappears like a year later. But
yeah, he goes off with T3M4 and HK47, and that's kind of this is why I like the second game more. The first game is great, but the second game is essentially Revan is gone. The Jedi are gone. Here's the effects of war. Here's what happens in a vacuum.
Here's everybody picking up the pieces of this war that a lot of these people weren't even part of.
Yeah, it's really delving into like, I mean, the whole half the game is like dealing with like refugees from the war, and the other half of the game is dealing from Sith Lords who only exist because of the power vacuum that was left, and they all like started vying for power, and one other Sith Lord who's doing something completely different and completely unique to Star Wars. Like it's
actually amazing.
Yeah, the first game is a breakdown. Like, it's not even a breakdown. The first game just shows you all the complexity of the Jedi and the Sith, and it focuses so heavily on that. And the second game is like a criticism of everything Star Wars.
Yeah, like all the issues. Yeah, like all the issues people have with like the Jedi, like get brought up by characters in that game, and everybody's like, just like, you're right. They're hypocrites. Like they're not these benevolent gods.
Yeah, there's a. I don't want to spoil the second game. I'll just say there's a character in the second game who basically is like, the Jedi are wrong, the Sith are wrong. I'm going to kill the Force. And it's like, what? Like, you can do that? Like, holy shit. Like,
you got to play the second one.
The second one is, the first game is like the perfect Star Wars story, and the second one is the perfect criticism of Star Wars.
Yeah, and there's like so much philosophy to it, and the characters are much more fleshed out. And
yeah, it's just why I think like, I was worried. I think both me and Riley were both worried when like the MMO was coming out that it was going to be like just like, oh, we're just going to cash in on like the fact that people like this. But the MMO actually has really good writing to it as well. That's surprising.
Yeah, not all the expanded parts of it, but the original sort of like main stories are really good.
Yeah, and I think when you start fighting like Vitiate and you have to deal with like joining up with the Sith, I thought that stuff was done really well too.
Should we talk about that? Just Revan being captured by Vitiate and all that?
That's the second one, right?
That's
that's the MMO.
Yeah,
I don't want to go there.
There's no way
we're already running really long.
We'll just say that like KOTOR, it takes place it's the old Republic, it's 4,000 years ago, and there are things outside the galaxy that are more dangerous than the Sith, and like that becomes like a central theme of the MMO. Like it takes everything and it like just expands the universe. Like, okay, now we're fighting these people that we didn't even know existed, and it's a whole new kind of enemy.
I took so many notes about this.
Yeah, I like the MMO a lot. I would recommend people play it. It's not like a super intensive MMO. I think it's a really fun game to play. Like I said, like Riley and I played it together. I think it's a great game to play with a friend and just like talk while you're playing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would really love playing it by myself.
Yeah, I'll just say this, that Revan essentially is so fucking powerful that could will himself back from the dead.
Yes, that is something that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I like how he like splits his mind in the MMO too.
Yep, he's light and dark side, and he has to meld them back together basically to become one with the Force.
I love because I thought it was really cool how like in the MMO, like immediately, like one of the first Jedi you come across is like Satele Shan. And I was like, is that like Basila's kid? And it's her granddaughter. And I like that it gets to a point in the game where like you've defeated the enemy and Satele Shan is just still around with you. And then they start going into like the Revan stuff, and it becomes like the game almost like stops being about you for a while. Like it's like, all right, like we got this other story we got to tell.
Well, it's cool because I think they know how many people like played these games and love them. But there's one thing in the MMO that Stuart, we talked about this a couple days ago when I asked if either Stefan or Mike had completed the quest in Terrace where you can lead the people in the Undercity to the Promised Land, and then in the MMO, like very early in Terrace, you find out that they all died anyway right after like getting salvation, and it's dark. It's depressing. You're fighting
like the second you get to Terrace, you're fighting rat ghouls. And if you like play the original, the first thought you have is like, why are there rat ghouls everywhere? I assumed that they would have been destroyed when Terrace was destroyed. And you find out essentially that because you led the people to the Promised Land, they became the rat ghouls that are now inhabiting Terrace. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I just ruined everything.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not helped them, the world would have been better.
That is depressing.
Yeah, that's why I like the Old Republic games so much. It's like
they weave in stuff very, very well.
Yeah, they're not afraid to like question morality and like, are you doing the right thing? Like, are you doing the right thing for the right reason? And also, are you doing the right thing and still thinking of the potential consequences, like the long term? Like, it almost makes. Like, Revan's almost, even when he's a Sith Lord, he's almost a good guy in the long term because he's not trying to conquer the Republic. He's trying to absorb it into the Sith Empire because at this point he's aware of the other Sith Empire and he knows that they're going to have to fight them and that if they come now, the Republic will fall.
Which it's very easy for him because he knows that once they start fighting the Jedi, he knows everything they're going to do.
It's like he's like that's why people say like he's their favorite Sith Lord. Like he's almost not a Sith Lord. He's
a good heel to the other characters, but I never really see him as like a villain, except for when you're talking about him before you realize you're Revan. Like the stuff he does when he comes back, but like when he comes back after.
He's like I was annoyed when he shows up in the Clone Wars. And it's like, oh, he's just a Sith, like another Sith Lord. I'm like, no, like he had it like. His goal was never to be the most powerful. He was always, at the end of the day, he was always a patriot, even when he was fighting the Republic. He was trying to unite these people because he knew that they needed to be strong to fight these other people.
The way you're talking about it reminds me of like Doctor Doom from like Marvel Comics, where he's a villain, but he's like he's the only one smart enough to know that this is the way that it needs to be done to save everything.
Like this is how the world it's funny because we I don't know if the episode's probably not come out for a while, but we also just did Watchmen.
Nice.
It's like Ozymandias. It's like he understands the world.
One of you guys doesn't like Watchmen.
That's cool.
And also
I think we should go to questions, comments, or memories.
Well, I just want to say one more thing real quick before we end this. Just that go read about Revan's story, please, because we didn't cover all of it. It's amazing. It's insane. It's got so many twists and turns. It later on becomes like a revenge story. It's brilliant. It's great.
There's about 10,000 hours of YouTube videos about Revan that you can check out. Like there's so many, and basically anybody who has any like channel where they just talk about Star Wars has at least a 40 or 50 minute video on Revan.
One real quick anecdote is like Revan wants to kill someone so badly that he tries to bring them back from the dead just so he can kill them.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not only am I gonna kill you, I'm gonna make sure you're dead even after you're dead.
It's great.
It's also kind of annoying because if people haven't seen Rise of Skywalker yet, don't bother. But also, they kind of, I felt like watching it, they, Mike's getting back because I keep talking, but
I gotta wrap this up soon.
In Rise of Skywalker, I felt like they were trying to do a Starforge thing.
Felt like it.
With Palpatine, and I was like, don't ruin this for this. Like, if you're gonna make, because they keep saying they're gonna make a Knights of the Old Republic movie, movie. Like, don't waste your source material on this. Like, you've got a story there. I also don't think they should really make a movie. I think they should remaster the game. But if you're gonna make a movie, don't like waste what you have. Like, hold on to it and like do it right. These are characters that like have complexity and their stories deserve to be told.
Oh yeah.
Better.
All right.
Like, you
We're
want
gonna
to
go to memory comments. We actually got more than we have ever gotten before. I am not reading all of them. I'm only reading a handful of them because this has already been long enough as it is. I couldn't believe how many people actually responded to I made 3 posts in 3 different groups, and in the one group I had over 100 posts, 100 comments.
Yeah, I was almost gonna tell you to like
God.
only make one post because I was like, this is gonna get a lot of people's attention.
So I'm just gonna read a few from each group because I can't read them all. So I was just gonna read some, and then we can discuss certain ones. Most I just want to read real quick. First one from Luke Elliott said, I was super late to this, tried it but could not get on with the combat system. I understand. Spencer Wright. I got it on the original Xbox back in 2004. They were my birthday / junior high graduation gift. I spent the entire summer basically doing nothing but play it. That's a good way to spend your summer, though. From Will Hart, like a true bounty hunter, I was in it for the credits, so I never had a problem buying med packs and better weapons. Also cheating the combat by running away constantly. That sounds familiar.
It's a strategy.
Amy Coel, I bought an Xbox for the sole purpose of playing KOTOR. It was an outstanding decision, one of the best games I ever played.
We didn't talk about how you could plug in you could do this in the second game. I think you can do it in the first game, but if you plug in a second controller and you hit the black and white buttons, you can change the pitch of their voices.
Okay, I did not know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
This
it's
one
like
is-
the dumbest feature ever.
This one's for you guys. From CJ James, he said the best game. Then he said hashtag justice for Trask.
Justice
Oh,
for Trask.
yay!
Yeah.
I'm with you. I am with you, sir.
And this is from the Overblood group. I got a couple. So from John Hill, wonderful game except the underwater part. Revan did nothing wrong. Underwater is terrible how slow you move.
Revan did a couple things wrong.
But he's right
Eric-
under.
It's just slow. You move slow. Stupid.
Maybe I just like water. Maybe I just like whales.
I thought you're scared of water, though.
I don't like being in open water, but I wouldn't mind walking on the bottom of the ocean.
You'd be surrounded by
That doesn't
open
make any
water.
sense.
Well,
I think-
if I could walk, I would feel like I have more control. I don't want to be floating. Like, I can't get away from something if I'm floating. Obviously. This makes perfect sense in my head.
Eric Bestos, picking all the dark side options for some of the side quests and laughing my ass off the entire time.
Well, you're a terrible person.
Oh god. Yeah.
From Brandon Zook, my favorite RPG of all time and the hardest evil decision I ever had to make towards the end. It involves Zalzabar. So that's what you get.
Zanzibar.
Zanzibar
wrong, didn't I?
land.
The wild Zanzibar hamsters.
From Charles Bell, actually a question: what is the best character to make stats wise in your opinion?
Scoundrel.
I think we talked about that in the first
You
part.
mean
but-
character like to start out with, pick Scoundrel, if that's what you want to do. Or I didn't know if they meant that or like the best character in the game.
Let's go with Scoundrel. I think is what he meant.
Well, I don't know if
He said,
they
"I'm
they might
game."
also be asking like if you're asking like which companion you can build the best skills out of. That's probably mission or
No.
maybe Juhan.
Juhani.
It's both of them are good in different ways.
Yeah.
I think
And-
one of them has good computer and the other one has good demolitions. I think it's the big difference.
Last question I'm going to read from this group before we go on to the group that had the most comments from Emmanuel, friend of the show. Revan is probably one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time and deserves a movie or series about him. Hashtag purple lightsabers for life.
Yep, he does have a purple lightsaber. The only character besides Samuel L. Jackson. I know his name is Mace Windu, but he's Samuel L. Jackson.
And this is from the turn-based RPG group. I got so many comments, I won't even be able to read like part of these, but I'm just going to read a couple. I had over 100 comments on this, and I could not believe it. I'm like, what the hell? Like, nobody ever comments that much when we look for questions, memories. Like, I never get this. So, I mean, this game is just loved.
Oh yeah.
So, from Kayla Bryant, said, biggest twist in any game I ever played. I still think about it a lot. Which is the whole Revan twist when you find out you are Revan. Spoiler.
Yeah, I think to this day I still have I still think about it. Like, even if I don't play this game for like years, I'll still just randomly think about it and just be like stuck on a loop until I play it.
And from Jim Robert, I named one of my kids Revan after this.
Oh,
Did
wow.
you really?
What?
That's not a good name for a kid.
Hopefully, like it's a kid in The Sims or something.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But from Ryan Gafka said, if you like this, has anyone here also played Jade Empire? It's another older BioWare Xbox game. It's so good.
Yeah. It's it's
I
pretty
want
good. I would not mind putting it on the show. It's a pretty good game.
18
It
hours, we
is.
could do it.
Yeah. It's like almost always free on Origin. Like they cannot give it away fast enough.
No, you should let me know because I'll have to grab it then. I'm trying to claim every free game I can find
For
for this show.
It's yeah, I don't actually. It's not too long that we would need to do it for like
It's
one of
taking
these kind of episodes.
what how long said.
Yeah.
Not
Oh, that might be a
terrible.
good one to throw on. Actually, that might be one to keep looking at.
Well, add it to your list.
It's a good. I'll add it to my list right now. That's a
It's
good.
16 and a half hours, and it's on
Dude,
Steam.
add Bloodborne too. You guys should play Bloodborne.
No,
I don't want to.
I beat Bloodborne, but oh god, good game. No,
Probably know more about that game than I do this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you're gonna be
Bloodborne
on that
Tattoo.
episode.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. You actually haven't shown me that.
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah. You just confirmed that you're going to be on that episode, by the way.
Oh.
can't beat that in a week. So, how far can you get in a week? Let's find out.
It'll take me forever. I'm so bad at those games.
The speed
Okay,
run. The speed run, if you break it, is 23 minutes.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
you break it though completely. I've
Yeah.
seen it. It's really cool. You jump off things and skip things, and
Still
still
like
gotta be
Super
good.
Mario
as hell.
64, where you can beat in like 5 minutes if you want to.
Basically, yeah.
All right. This one from Kevin Demokowicz. 2 was better. I know someone agrees with me on this episode. From Diego Coelho da Silva. This story is better than any other Star Wars story, including the original trilogy.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's just the original trilogy expanded, I guess.
It's just as good.
It's like it's an exploration of the original trilogy.
From Jason Zentradi, D&D in space, complete with die rolls for damage and offhand lightsabers. Great game.
Yeah. It's worth
Mhm.
mentioning
True.
that the story in this game is so good that we did not even talk about how this game is played.
We did.
Yeah.
I tried to sprinkle it in.
Yeah, Mike
Not
talked
really.
about the combat early.
A little bit. We didn't mention that they were like dice rolls. Like we didn't mention
It's
that
an
it's
RPG.
based entirely. Well, it's an RPG, but it's based entirely on D&D like roll 20 dice rolls. Like it's
Even your weapon stats are like that.
yeah. And, like your weapon stats are literally like like you'll get a sword and it's like 1 out of 8 damage. Like it's very much a D&D
That's-
system.
I think that's normal. Some RPGs are kind of like that. I'm going to read a couple more from Grant Parrish. Said Bastila using the Force to knock down the Twilight Girl classic. Twilight?
Twi'lek.
I don't know why I couldn't say it. It wasn't working.
If anyone wants to hear Mike just screw up words constantly, go back and listen to our Double Dragon episode.
Oh god.
The villain's name is Kokashuko. Imagine Mike trying to say that so many times.
I forgot about that.
The best is still Mike saying your name wrong, Stefan, for like
for episodes.
for like a long time.
And
I even
we
wrote it.
just-
Like I looked at the old notes, and it even says Stefan, Stephen, like Steven, not what his real name is.
I was
And
just
I've known
like,
him for years before we started this.
I was like, oh, we'll fix it in post, and then just never got around to it.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me until one day he's like, you're saying it wrong. I'm like,
It
what?
was like 30 episodes before he started saying it, right?
I think it's like 50. I think it was around the time DJ left.
DJ's gone. It's easier for me to remember 2 names.
All right, from Adam Ross Rudici said, been a long time, but wasn't the second basically the same story as the first, or am I just remembering it wrong?
You're remembering it completely wrong.
Way wrong, and you should feel bad.
Yes. The second game is the exact opposite of this game.
From Jim Dykes, the new mod for KOTOR 2 actually puts an ending to the story. I'm sure you know
For
what that
KOTOR
means.
2?
Yeah.
KOTOR 2 puts
Yeah.
an ending to this story?
No,
For the second game. He's talking about.
We'll play the second game at some point, and I will demand that everyone play it with restored content mod. Don't worry about that because it's a
I think-
different game.
If you download it off of Steam, that's the only way to download it now.
Yeah, I have downloaded it. I have also made sure to like copy the files just in case.
I haven't.
Well, wasn't there also, because I know this is one of the first games to have free DLC. What was that again? I can't remember.
For KOTOR?
Yeah.
You're a DLC for.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the first games on Xbox to have free DLC.
Yeah, did it have? Oh man, what did that add? I remember
I'm
that.
looking it up right now to see what I can find out.
Was it like added lightsaber colors or something? It
It-
was something really tiny.
I
Yavin
feel like it
Station.
had to have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the PC version that we played on Steam, I saw it. I didn't go there, but
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
completely
it's there.
pointless. It's
okay.
yeah, it's
Oh, is it the random ship?
yeah.
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 It's
Okay.
it's like in like Mass Effect 1 has DLC where you can go like rescue civilians at a mining colony. And
Stop the arrival or something like that.
yeah, and it's like completely pointless.
It takes like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like the whole point of it in Mass Effect is like, oh, Commander Shepard hates the Batarians. It's like, yeah, I knew that from the time she said I hate the Batarians at the beginning of the game.
Sounds like most Fallout DLC. Ooh,
hey.
All right, 2 more things and we're done with questions. From Alex Wise, the combat system was horrible and the story was arguably the best RPG story ever.
Yeah, it's funny. The combat's like,
it's fine.
It's sometimes
I like
it's
the combat system.
fun. Like you got to get over. You have to get over it first because going back to it, it's very different.
And last question we're going to end with from Scott Swirsky. Said, when the credits rolled on the light side ending for my first playthrough, I stood and applauded for the duration of the credits. It's a long time, sir. And that's it. I apologize for ones I could not read, but I got so many comments from that group that I had to read some, but I could not read more than that because this is a 4-hour podcast.
I think when the game ended the first time, I did wave because everyone was like waving and cheering. Yeah, I did like,
like, oh, thanks, game.
Yeah, because it's just like the camera pan. It's like the Return of the Jedi ending where it's like, or not the Return of the Jedi, the A New Hope ending where like everyone's got the medals on. And it's like, yay, we did it. We beat the Empire. And like everyone's clapping. And at the end of this game, they're all like, for some reason, they're on Rakata or Lahan. They don't go back to like Coruscant or something. They're just, everyone's on this tiny beach planet.
I don't think I've ever watched the credits of this game.
It's really weird. Like, yeah, they're all on Lahan. And I can't remember who it is. It's a different character that's giving Revan like the medal. And like, some of them like wave and cheer, and like the camera just pans out. It's like, okay, like,
yeah.
All right.
There's like, I think there's fireworks going off in the background.
Yeah, it's literally the A New Hope ending. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay,
and Return of the Jedi.
It's not really the ending that this game needed, but okay.
The ending we deserved. Is that what you wanted to say?
No, the ending we deserved was KOTOR 3. Which never got
This is never coming out either.
Or the fucking prequel. Do the Mandalorian Wars. Give me a prequel game, please.
That'd be awesome. Man,
that's not happening either, by the way.
I just want to fight in the Mandalorian Wars.
Watch it.
All right,
tomorrow.
I think you should go to Shelfer Box.
You know what it is? I'm gonna be like, I want the Mandalorian Wars, and EA is gonna be like, great, we're putting it in Battlefront 2. It's like, no.
10-minute DLC.
Yeah, it adds a new gun. It's like, oh, god damn it.
So, Riley, since you're our guest, you want to go first?
I don't know what this part is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Basically, we always forget to describe it now and then. Basically, yeah, we just say if you want to like shelf the game or box the game, and you can explain why. And if you box the game, it's not going to matter for this one. But if you box the game, it doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just like basically like you put the game on your shelf. If it's a game that you would like identify yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm like Stuart. We've been playing this game with each other for 8 years. I'd put it on my shelf. Like, I know so much about this game that this podcast could have gone on for 10 hours.
Yeah,
so
this is one of the ones where had you put either Riley or me alone in a room with a mic on, that's all we would have needed to talk about this game.
Yeah, I think when Stuart first told me about like the podcast and he mentioned playing KOTOR, I was like, dude, okay. Let me help. I will do research. I'll play the game for you. Like,
yeah, this was.
I've played it so many times.
I think we essentially planned to do this episode since like episode 3 of the podcast. I think the second I told Riley, I was like, "Hey, I'm starting to do a podcast." She was like, "Are you playing KOTOR?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm gonna play KOTOR."
The joke is he only signed up for one episode.
I did. Yeah.
69 episods later.
Nice.
We finally made the joke in the part 2 of this, but yes.
Yeah. It's still such a funny story. I thought I was only going to be on one episode.
And I saw the post. I clearly said to join it and be on the podcast. I never said just one episode. I clearly worded it.
Well, I thought you meant like, does anyone want to be on a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I can do a podcast episode. Like,
what happened?
Now I process them every week.
You get to process 2 parts of this episode. All right, so Riley's gonna shelf. How about you, Stu?
I mean, obviously shelf. Yeah, just not only is this like an important game to me personally, but the fact that like the reason Riley and I are friends basically that we get to share this game that we both love, and just I don't know, it's just there's so much that this game does that is so above and beyond what a game could have done to sell well at this point. Like, all this really needed to be was a Star Wars RPG, and it probably would have sold well. But BioWare back in the day was like, fuck that, we're going to make like the best Star Wars story ever made. And we're going to like bust our asses to define what like the genre of RPGs is going to be for a long time.
And I mentioned this 4 hours ago. I'm interrupting you, but like this was the game that got me into Star Wars and into video games because we were what 9 or 10 when this game came out, and I watched my brothers play it first, and then this was the game where I was just like, oh, this is really cool. I'm gonna start playing video games now.
Yeah, I think like I had the same thing with movies, where like the first movie I remember watching was A New Hope, and that's like when I fell in love with Star Wars.
I totally thought you said boobies, and I was like, "What?
The first movies I remember. The first movies I remember were Basilis boobies. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's such a important and big and just. I think it's a game that's even more important now because Star Wars has only gotten bigger and only taken up more of like the public diaspora of like pop culture. To have a game that exists that basically is a Star Wars game that criticizes and explores Star Wars is so important and so good. And this game is fucking art and everyone should play it. So it's absolutely going on my shelf.
Okay.
It'll go right under Knights of the Old Republic too.
All right. How about you, Stefan?
Yeah, so I really didn't get to say this at the beginning, but my history with this game, I'll keep it short.
Thank you.
Basically, I was over at a friend's house and he had KOTOR, and I was like, oh, you have KOTOR? And he's like, yeah, that game sucks. You can have it. And he outright gave it to me.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and then I went over to my other friend's house because I didn't have an Xbox. And I said, here, we'll play this later. Just hold on to it. Yeah, he ended up selling it.
Oh my God.
What?
I thought you were going to say he was like, yeah, Xbox sucks. Here you go. Just give me your Xbox.
Why do you sell it?
Because he's an asshole. Fuck you, Daniel.
Yeah, and suck.
Yeah, and so then I moved out to the desert with my mom around when I was like 18, and there was just nothing to do out there. And I had just gotten a 360, and Microsoft was like, "Oh, it'll be backwards compatible," which was a fucking lie. And
yep.
And so when I went to GameStop, I had a little bit of cash, and they actually had lists in GameStop of what was backwards compatible for the 360 from the original Xbox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
not very much.
Yeah, and obviously KOTOR 1 and 2 were on that list, and I bought both of them that day. And since I didn't have anything to do in the desert, I literally did everything in these games I possibly could. And I fell in love with them. I was enamored with everything. Revan is one of the greatest Star Wars characters ever made that George Lucas didn't even have any hand in, which is great. And
That's one of the greatest.
Yeah, and I love this. I love this game. I'm gonna put it on my shelf, but that's my sordid history, just like Revan's with this game.
All right, I'll go last. Obviously this is going on the shelf. I enjoyed the game. I'm glad I played it. I wasn't good. I thought about it, but no, this is too.
Well, Mike was gonna be like, I hated it. It was dumb. I didn't know what I was doing.
I did know what I was doing, but I was still able
What's up, Malik?
to play through the game and finish it, and I enjoyed it even with auto level up on easy. I didn't have a problem really. I mean, I was able to enjoy the game and I had a great time. Like I was so thankful because I had played this game. I don't think I mentioned it. I think I did mention it back in like 2004. Never beat it. Always meant to go back. Life happened, and thanks to this podcast, thanks to Stu, I was finally able to go and beat this game and cross it off my back.
Thanks to Riley.
I really wanted you guys to do this game.
Yeah. I'm okay. The last time he let somebody pick, we played Beautiful Joe. Fuck you, Sam, if you're listening to this. I'm still mad at you for that one.
Is that
was Sam.
Sam?
Yeah, Sam.
It can't be understated how just important this game was.
And that's the only game I haven't beaten on the show too. I've beaten every game in the show but for Beautiful Joe. He broke my perfect record, and I still upset about that.
Well, I guess we'll just have to do it again.
Have to punch Sam.
Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe.
I'll have safe states. I'll have safe states next time.
Yeah, don't worry. That really backfired on Sam because he was like, "You should play Beautiful Joe," and I was like, "We're only gonna play it if you're on that episode." And he was like, "Uh oh."
He's supposed to come back here in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Playing what?
I think we're playing the next Stalker game.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was our number one game at one point on the show.
It was for a long time, yeah.
And then Pac-Man World.
No, our number one game is still Republic Commando, right?
Yeah, it still is. Pac-Man World keeps growing, though.
Yeah, I'm really worried it'll overtake Republic Commando.
It's gonna be so. What's your number one game? Pac-Man World. Her number one episode.
World. I don't know. I don't want to live in that world. But yeah, it can't be. It can't be understated how important this game was. It made the Xbox 360 a RPG console. It wasn't an RPG console until this game came out. Like, we wouldn't have had Oblivion on the Xbox, Skyrim, like the Fallout games, Dragon Age, like Mass Effect. Like, Jesus Christ, like Xbox was struggling. They couldn't get an RPG, and then this game came along and basically revitalized the system and changed the genre of games. That's insane.
Yeah, like kind of.
That only happens like once every like 10 or 15 years, realistically. Like that only happens in a genre once.
So all part of the prophecy.
Yeah. All right. And I think we should introduce what we're playing next week now, because we're at that point. We're playing a very strange game next week that I actually picked because I wanted to. I've always. You remember what we're playing?
I don't remember what it is.
Resident Evil.
Sadly.
Dead Aim for PS2. It's short. It's only supposed to be 3 hours, and we have covered so many Resident Evil games on the podcast for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it's a pretty clear indicator of how good a Resident Evil game is based on whether Stefan or I pick the game or Mike picks the game.
Yeah, I picked Operation Raccoon City. I picked Dead Aim. Dead Aim wasn't one of my picks. We just had an empty spot. We needed a quick game, and I'm like, let's do Dead Aim.
Yeah, Stefan and I are like, oh, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2. Mike's like, Operation Raccoon. Dead Aim.
The Raccoon City I remember was amazing. Unfortunately, the one I played was not amazing.
I refuse to do Umbrella Corps. We are never fucking doing that.
It's only online. We can't do it.
You can still play it.
Don't tell him
doing
that.
It.
Oh, I did not know that, sir.
Yeah.
Is there a campaign?
Not really.
Oh, then
no, it doesn't work. He's wrong. The game doesn't work. It's broken.
It's a complete mess. You don't want to waste your time with it, Mike.
Yeah. Let's see if Star Wars Galaxy still works.
That does not.
There's got to be somebody out there that still has like a Star Wars Galaxy server.
Probably.
With
we're not going to be able to join it.
Diehard Star Wars fans are. The Star Wars Galaxy was that was when I learned about the AEG-77 Vigo. That's why I fell in love with that ship.
Oh my god.
Vigo the Carpathian?
Yeah, the AEG-77 Vigo the Carpathian.
All right. Trying to think any last things you guys want to say before we wrap up? Okay. That would be a no. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where I'm usually posting images of upcoming games. So you get to see Dead Aim. By the time you're reading this, by the time you're listening to this, I've already posted stuff about Dead Aim because this came in the middle of the week after I get done editing 4 hours worth of podcasts for one episode.
You have fun with that, Mike.
That's gonna be fun. The first is over 2 hours, and the second part is about to be 2 hours. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Honestly, I can actually see the time of the second one. So
yeah, currently an hour and 58.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it could have went longer. So please take a look. So I said, please follow Facebook. Also, our awesome intro came courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney from ZP Bite the Bullet, Song of the Cool Kid Squad. So you'll see a link in the show notes. We also do a bunch of comic episodes. There's plenty for you to listen to. We've done other Star Wars episodes, so please, Republic Commando, because everyone loves Republic Commando. Go listen to that one, like episode 21 or something.
Keep Pac-Man World from being the best episode. Listen to Republic Commando.
And there's Dark Forces. We cover Shadows of the Empire. We did the holiday special because I'm a maniac. So we've done some other Star Wars stuff too. So go listen to all that.
This is also like the reason we changed our format so we could do longer games like this, and I think it worked out really well.
It did,
and to give us a break.
Yeah,
it just wasn't much of a break because I have so much work now.
It was kind of a break.
It was still nice. All right, and I want to thank everyone for listening, and we will see you next week with Resident Evil Dead Aim.
So we leave them with a good KOTOR quote.
Sure.
Okay. In the words of the wise and powerful Trask, for the Republic!
For the Republic!
For the Republic!
Goodbye, everybody.